My name is April Joyce Rodriguez. My presentation is all about the Philippine Constitution, readings in the Philippine history. The Philippine Constitution, or Supreme Law of the Republic of the Philippines, have 6 constitution. The first one is 1899 Constitution, which is the Malolos Constitution, 1935 Constitution, 1943 Constitution during the Japanese occupation, 1973 Constitution, 1986 Provisional Freedom Constitution, and lastly is 1987 Constitution. The purpose of the Constitution is to dictate permanent framework of the government to form a more perfect union to establish justice and ensure peace of the nation. Constitution provide principles how the government run itself. 1899, the Malolos Constitution, the first Philippine Constitution and the first Republican Constitution in Asia, was drafted and adopted by the First Philippine Republic, which lasted from 1899 and 1901. The Constitution was submitted by the President of the United States to certification on March 25, 1935. The main point of the Malolos Constitution is to pave the way to launching the First Philippine Republic and establish a democratic republican government with 3 branches. The first one is the executive, and the second one is the legislative, and the third one is judicial branches. It formally established with Emilio Aguinaldo as the president by proclamation of the Malolos Constitution on January 21, 1899 in Malolos, Bulacan, succeeding the previous revolutionary government of the Philippines. The political association of all Filipinos constitutes a nation whose state shall be known as the Philippine Republic. In 1899, it also called the separation of church and state, and it was written by Felipe Calderon y Roca and Felipe Buencamino. 1935 Constitution. The future a political system virtually identical to American one became operative. The system called for a president to be elected in large of 4 years. In 1935 also no it this that that is the constitution wherein the first national election held ulit in 1935 also featured a political in 1935 Constitution provided the legal basis of the Commonwealth government, which was considered a transition government before the granting of the Philippine independence. With American inspired constitution, the Philippine government would eventually pattern as government system after American government. Roosevelt on March 23, 1935 was the first national election held under the 1935 charter drafted and approved on February 8, 1935 by 202 member Constitutional Convention of 1934 chaired by Senator Claro M. Recto and ratified by the Filipinos a nation-wide plebiscite on May 4, 1935. 1943 Constitution. Jose P. Laurel was anonymously elected President by National Assembly. It was recognized as legitimate and binding only Japanese-controlled areas on the Philippines but was ignored by the United States government and the Philippine Commonwealth government in exile. The Republic of the Philippines shall exercise sovereignty over all the nation territory as at present defined by law. Yeah. 1973 Constitution draft presented to President Marcos by the 1971 Constitutional Convention on December 1, 1972, deemed and ratified by citizen assemblies held from January 10 to 15, 1973, and proclaimed in force by proclamation by President Marcos on January 17, 1973. It provides for the shift from presidential to parliamentary system of government. The Constitution vests the legislative power in National Assembly, head of government, leads an executive branch that is separate from the legislative branch in system. Legislative and executive are closely related and share powers with each other. 1986 Constitution. 1986 Constitution, a provisional government was proclaimed in March 1986 by Aquino with the adaptation of entire constitution informally called Freedom Constitution by her administration. Includes the power to remove and replace local government officials during the transition period. It also the declaring, nag-ano ko. It also declaring a national policy to implement the reforms mandated by the people, protecting their basic rights, adopting a provisional constitution, and providing for an orderly transition to a government under a new constitution. 1987 Constitution. The state shall promote a just and dynamic social order that will ensure the prosperity and independence of the nation and to free the people from poverty through policies that provide adequate social service, promote full employment, and rising standard of living and an improved quality of life for all. The Philippines is a democratic and republic state. Sovereignty resides in the people and all government authority emanates from them. The Philippines renounced war as an instrument of national policy, adopts the general accepted principles of international law as the part of the law of the land and adheres to the policy and peace, equality, justice, freedom and cooperation and amity with all nations. Civilian authority is all at all times supreme over the military. The Armed Forces of the Philippines is the protector of the people and the state. It, its goal is to secure the sovereignty of the state and the integrity of the national territory. The prime duty of the government is to serve and protect the people. And in 1987 Constitution, it officially the separation of church and state shall be inviolable. That's all. Thank you.